Hi. It's taken a little while, maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes for me to even do this because I like to stand and have my iPad sideways. But I can't lately. And so it's cool. I just sit and talk to you like this. But today I want to talk to you about courage. Maybe in the beginning of the week, I talked about confidence. Last week, I talked about confidence. And this is all from a program that I have called Stop Kicking Your Own Ass. If you're offended by that title, I hope not for the word ass. But sometimes we kick our own asses. And the reason why is because we're weak in some personal parts in our lives. So, confidence, courage, self esteem are some of them, but also the psychology, understanding that, and doing personal development and the spirituality piece is another part of that. So, that doesn't happen. So, it's lunchtime, I think. So, if you're working, you're at lunch. If you're not on, you're doing something else, which is good. But you can always watch this again, but I do want to talk about courage. And usually, like when I talked about confidence last week, it was, of course, my research, but just a lot of things about what I was talking about. But today, with this courage piece, I'm going to give you some quotes that people that are highly respected in our history, in our lives, have said. Even Steve Jobs is in here. So courage is something that we all need to have fulfilled lives in terms of doing things that we want to do, taking on adventures or endeavors that scare us. Courage does not mean being brave all the time. If you're brave all the time, somebody in here says that you're a fool. I'm going to read it though. So I'm going to tell you what I've learned or what I wanted to share with you. I agree with all of this, but these are not my words. Sometimes it's good to share other people's words, like I share books. So there are 6 different reasons why we need to have courage and what courage is. And I'm going to kind of read them to you, like a little class, but I'm an educator. Besides being a coach, I train and I teach. So I'm going to, this a little mini, small, little teensy little class, kind of like, because I'm giving you information from other people. Okay, so fear and courage are brothers, right? They're opposites, but they're brothers. Same blood, just different. So when you are afraid and you do it anyway, that's what courage is. Courage is not that you're not afraid. That's not courage. When you're afraid and you do something anyway, that is courage. So I'm going to keep going. Yeah. So true courage is facing the danger when you're afraid. But we've been afraid before. We all have been. And we decided with a choice, okay, do it, or don't do it. Say no, don't do it, and then go back and talk about it, but not do it. And then you do it and you go, man, I did that. It wasn't that big a deal. Sometimes in my office, I'm talking to my clients and I'll say, between you and the door, just imagine a big puff of dark smoke. And you're afraid of that, but you can't get to the door unless you walk through that smoke. Once you get through that smoke, and this is me now, once you get through that smoke, get in the smoke and just sit in it. Now, the smoke is your fear. Just sit there. That means look at it. Just go face to face with it. And unless someone has a gun to your head or is going to kill you, it's something that we make up. So if you're afraid of something and you face it, that's courage. And after you face it, you went, man, it wasn't that big a deal anyway. So that's another thing of the courage. So in The Wizard of Oz, remember that movie? We all saw it. We all loved it as kids. Well, most of us did. Some of you may have not, but I loved it because it always came on in the middle, like in January near my birthday. And so I remember, I'm from the Midwest. I remember watching that right after Christmas. Okay, so they say the courage is in facing danger when you are afraid. Remember the lion? He was afraid. He needed courage. Okay, so if anybody has read sci-fi books, I did a long time ago. Anthony Pierce, he says, or no, Pierce Anthony, he says, one who feels no fear is a fool, and the one who lets fear rule him is a coward. And when you have courage, You feel the fear and you do it anyway. You don't let fear rule you. I like this because I discovered this. I thought this is so great. I can share with people. Another thing about courage, it's about doing what you're afraid to do. There can be no courage unless you're scared. If you're not scared, you're not being brave. That's not courage. And you get courage and develop that when you are not afraid to go beyond what you know. Usually we are afraid because we can't tell the future. We never know what's around the corner. And many of us don't want to see that. But guess what? You know what? We got to go anyway. Just go anyway. As Nike says, just do it. So, okay. So follow your heart. That shows your courage. When you follow your heart, passion, something that drives you crazy, or when your intuition is saying, do it, do it, do it, and you just love it, but your friends or your parents or your spouse or someone says, don't do that, it doesn't make any sense. That's them rationalizing what's going on. But really, our deeper self, our higher self, is leading us to those feelings and those little nudges saying, do it anyway. It doesn't make any sense. It feels like that. It seems like it doesn't make any sense, but it feels like it's what we should do. That's your intuition, and that's your higher self talking to you. This is me talking now. And that's your higher self talking to you. Do it. It takes courage, and do it. You're afraid to fail, and it might look like you're going to fail, and you might be failing, but really, the universe, the higher self, the God has your back. You're not failing. If you are urged, nudged by something that you don't know what it is to do it, have courage and do it anyway. It's not going to fail. It can't. Because what's bigger than you has prompted you and pushed you to do that. Okay. So, yeah. So Steve Jobs says, most important, have courage to follow your heart and your intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become, and everything else is secondary. Steve Jobs said this at the Stanford commencement speech in 2005. So Steve Jobs was a hell of a guy, and he followed his nudges and his intuitions. And people, he may have become somebody that he wasn't in terms of being mean and didn't care about people, what we heard about. But I have the utmost respect for Steve Jobs because Steve Jobs just followed his heart and followed his higher sense of self, that higher piece of him. He wouldn't have been as great as he was if he didn't follow that. We can't become that great if our higher self, if the God in us, if the force, if the source is not leading us and working through us and pushing us. That's courage to listen to that nudge. For all of us, that's courage. This is me talking, not Steve Jobs. Okay. So, yeah. So, Kierkegaard says, courage means when you lose footing momentarily, when you lose that footing and you're not really sure what's going on and you do it anyway. That's courage. That's what courage is, and we all need to have it. We've all been afraid. We've all been unsure. But when we make the safe decision, that's not being courageous. When we think we know what the outcome's going to be, that's not courage. It's courage when we get out of our comfort zones. That's what courage is. Marianne Williamson says, it takes courage to endure the sharp pains of self-discovery rather than choose to take the dull pain of unconsciousness that will last the rest of our lives. Here it is. I find this in my practice. The people that come with me and work with me and stay with me and see changes in their lives, I tell them it's hard and it takes a commitment. Your time, your willingness, and a financial commitment. But it takes those things for you to really look into yourself to make a change. We're here on this planet for a reason, not to be the same people we were born in here as we to be, or we thought we were, because we have something to do and something bigger to become. And it takes us getting the weeds out and enduring that pain to look at ourselves for real, honestly. We can't change otherwise. I'm telling you what, I know this for a fact, so I'm sharing. Okay. When you persevere through adversity, when things are hard for us and we don't give up, we do it anyway. I'm telling you what, we've all had situations in our lives that seem really, really hard to accomplish, or hard to do, or hard to start, or hard to continue doing. Like you run out of money, run out of other resources. What should we do next? I don't know what to do. Take a nap take a break. Don't give up. Take a break, take a nap, take a day or two off, and come back to it. Because in that time that we rest and don't worry about it, go have a cocktail if you drink. Do something. Relax yourself. Meditate, and then have a cocktail. Whatever you want to do. But once you relax your mind and you think about it again, the answers start coming. When we're stressed out, we're not having any faith at all to the powers that be that can make this stuff happen for us, that can align us up with the right sources that we need. When we relax ourselves, things can happen. We've got to have courage, be encouraged with that. So persevere and face adversity. That's being courageous. Okay. I don't know. This person said when we're afraid, we ought to occupy ourselves with endeavoring to prove that there's no danger. Oh, and that is faith. When we are afraid and then we work to prove there's no danger for real, that means you're believing in something higher than yourself. And that never gets us in trouble. That's always the right thing for us to do. It's always the right path. And like I always find myself talking about spirituality and metaphysics and the universal laws, this is what it all is. That's what it really is. Courage is deciding to have faith and believe in that. That's me saying that because I know for a fact courage, to wipe all this stuff out, courage is deciding to believe and have faith in what we cannot see. That is faith, and to have faith takes tons of courage. You think you have courage, you think you have faith, okay. Just keep walking the path and make sure you do. It's every day something happens, we got to be courageous about that. So that's what courage is as well. And courage doesn't always soar. Sometimes courage is a little voice at the end of the day that says, I'll try again tomorrow. That's the not ever giving up. And who says that? Mary Ann Rutherford. Now, I'm sorry, Mary Ann Radmacher. I don't know who she is. If you do, that's good. I don't know, but that's a good thing. At the end of the day, when it just didn't work out, it just didn't happen, and we don't go, forget it, I'm done. We go, man, that was hard. We go to sleep, we give thanks, we give gratitude, wake up tomorrow and try it again. That's courage. Because people are saying, ultimately, they're saying, oh, he or she can't do it. That's crazy. It's not going to happen. It'll never happen for them. People are saying that. Oh, I'm looking the wrong way. People are saying that, and that's not really what it is. It's up to you to have that courage. It's up to you to keep doing it. You hold tight. You have that courage. What other people say doesn't matter. This is your life. This is your journey. It's no one else's. So we can't care about what other people say. I don't care how much you love them. We can't care what mom says, dad says, husband says, wife says, boyfriend says, best friends say, peers talk about. We can't care about that. We have to have faith in ourselves, faith in the higher part of who we are, faith in the divine. Call it what you want, but faith in that gives all of us courage. That's where the courage comes from, is having that faith. But you have you have to have that faith in that higher sense of yourself to see anything manifest that you really want. And sometimes, never is it instantaneous. It always takes time. You know, we see people that are successful or something has come true for them that you want, and you go, man, it's like they happen overnight, like an overnight success. It's never an overnight success. It's not overnight. They had the same struggles, their own, that you had the same cries in the night, the same fears, the same wanting to give up, all that you had, but they didn't. Because as they say, right when you're almost there, because you lose your courage or lose your guts, is when you give up. Don't give up ever, because one day it's going to pop for you because you have the courage to persevere. I like that. Okay, Megan Collins says, speak your mind, even if you're, oh yeah. Megan Collins says, speak your mind, even if your voice shakes. That is so true. That means if you're afraid to say what you say what you say anyway. Say what you feel anyway. That is so necessary. Do not smother yourself or silence your voice. Do not. What you feel matters. What you think matters. If it can change the world, okay. If it can change you, that matters. Because when you change, the world changes, a ripple effect. So don't have your hide your voice. Have courage enough to speak. Let your voice be heard, right? Your voice is here. Have the courage enough to speak. That's the fifth chakra. Have the courage. Oh, yeah. Expand your horizons. So just do what's out of your comfort zone. That takes courage to do that. To do that. Just do something that you don't know or haven't done before. That's simple. But the smallest things take courage. Just do it. That's your courage. And because life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. So if your life seems to be in a box, that means you're not spreading your wings. So spread your wings. Decide to do something that you haven't done. Just to have courage. I know, but courage, you can take little baby steps to have courage. Just do little things with each day that you wouldn't do before that make you feel a little bit nervous. You know, even like things like tell somebody that they look nice if you don't do that, if that makes you feel uncomfortable. If you tell somebody you love them, if that makes you feel uncomfortable. Hug someone if that makes you feel uncomfortable. Hold someone's hand. Tell someone how great they are. Simple little things that you're afraid to do. If you do those things, that's courage. That's developing your courage. That's getting your courage muscle strong. That's what that is. Simple little things. Take courage. And all that you do, always commend yourself for it because you're doing a great job. And the last one was facing suffering with adversity, with dignity. And that's not saying suffering is the best thing in the world, because it's not. But what that means is when you have something going on in your life, a big, big, hard challenge, and you're ashamed of it, don't be. We never can tell what somebody else's story is, and we are not walking in their shoes, and no one's walking in your shoes. You can keep it to yourself if you want, or you can just shout out to the world. But I believe if you need help, you can ask for it. But if you just talk about your suffering because you're waddling in it, don't do it. It's going to make it worse, and you'll suffer more. But whatever's happening in your life that's not good, that you don't like, you have to follow the laws of the universe. In that book, Working with the Law, get that book and follow those laws and ask accordingly for help. Don't beg for it. Just expect it, ask for it, and expect it. That's it. And that it takes courage to do that. If you're sick and you're ashamed of your sickness, that makes no sense. None. People love you and want to help you when you might need their help. If they want to help you, you accept the help. Always be a good giver and always be a good receiver. That's a law. That's a law. It's a universal law. So get the book. Now here I go. So get the book, Working with the Law, or the book, The Game of Life and How to Play It. They're about the laws of the universe. But those laws are also, the universal laws are also in the Bible, also in other books of religion, and I'm not talking about that, but they're in all these books since the beginning of time. These laws are not man-made laws. You know we live in two worlds, the spiritual world and the physical world. And we have physical laws made by man that they change and do what they want to do for their convenience. But the spiritual laws, the universal laws, never change. They never change. And so we want to follow those laws. So just get this little book, Working with the Law, and read what those laws are. And if you haven't already, you can start. If you have, good for you. Because, I've done it back and forth, and then I think, man, why do I not do this all the time? So I just share. So back to courage. It's something we all need. Courage and fear are brothers. That means they're the opposite. That's the syzygy, the opposites. But really they're the same blood, like by the same parents, same blood. So here it is. Whatever you're afraid of, walk right into it. That's your courage. You won't die. You'll be fine after that. It's just scary to go into the dark sometimes, right? But just go into it anyway. There's nothing there. It's better for you. So that's all. Those six things, reasons, what they are, what makes you have courage. And you do have courage. We all have it. So when you need to be courageous, just do it, like Nike says. And get that book, Working with the Law. And tomorrow I'll see you at 10:30 for 5 on Fridays, if you ever check in for that. 5 on Fridays. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. Bye-bye.